Good afternoon, everyone. Happy that you are able to stay with us for the second segment of our first day's engineering conference. And at this time, I now invite Junior Engineer Michael James, to introduce our next speaker, Engineer Junior Bennett. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Engineer Ricketts. Now, Engineer Junior Bennett is a consultant, industrial engineering lecturer, and the leader of the University of Technology Productivity Research Group. Now, he holds a Bachelor of Education in Industrial Technology, Electrical, and a Master of Science in Manufacturing Engineering Systems. He's the first Jamaican to be certified as a manufacturing engineer by the Society of Manufacturing Engineers, SME. He is credited for the establishment of the UTech Society of Manufacturing Engineers student chapter and served as faculty advisor for 4 consecutive years. Now, he's a former council member and corporate member of the JIE and has been appointed to represent the JIE on the National Commission of Science and Technology. He is a registered industrial engineer and a member of the Industrial Engineering and Operation Management Society International. He has been lecturing in areas of physics, mathematics, engineering, and management for over a decade. Now, in 2019, Mr. Bennett was the recipient of the UTech JA President's Award for Outstanding Community Service. He has also been inducted as one of Jamaica's productivity ambassadors by the Jamaica Productivity Center, JPC. Engineer Bennett has presented at several local and international conferences, including places such as Haiti, Rome, Italy, and Indonesia, with audience from across the world from over 70 countries. He is the recipient of the 2021 Outstanding Industry University Partnership Award by the Industrial Engineering and Operation Management Society International in recognition and appreciation of outstanding contributions for industry university partnership for workplace and supports and service in the industrial engineering profession. His research interests are productivity improvement, operations research, lean manufacturing, Industry 4.0, and quality control management. Our third speaker for this evening's proceedings is Engineer Junior Bennett.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Michael James, for your detailed, clear, but elaborate introduction. I do appreciate your introduction, and I must commend you and the outstanding student that you are at UTech and an excellent volunteer at the Jamaica Institution of Engineers. I want to also express my thanks to President Engineer Glaser Ricketts and his team, Engineer Melissa Towson, for the opportunity to share at this time. Also want to thank Mr. O'Neill Joseph, head of school at this University of Technology, for this opportunity, as well as he was initially stated to do this presentation. So without further ado, this conference has come at a time that it could have not been more potent than now. The pandemic continues, but the engineering solution is even more necessary. And so the topic engineering a sustainable Jamaica is quite relevant. I will be speaking to you under the topic priorities and strategies for the successful implementation of Industry 4.0 in Jamaica. The overview of my presentation will be looking at Vision 2020 and how Industry 4.0 fits into this broader vision. What are some of the Industry 4.0 technologies? We'll definitely be looking at a synopsis of the Jamaica manufacturing 5-year strategy. This was actually concluded last year, basically, with some research findings in terms of Industry 4.0, what we can learn from some analysis that I've done on the Latin American countries, and some barriers, and what is our readiness and the role of Education 4.0. So let's continue. It is our shared vision that Jamaica be the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. With this vision, a vision for Jamaica, we have goal 3, sorry, of this vision that speaks to Jamaica's economy is prosperous. That is our desires. Regardless of which party is in power, we definitely want the Jamaica economy to be prosperous, because that's when it will benefit to at least majority. Now, the outcomes from the goal that is directly in line with Industry 4.0 strategy is to, sorry, not sure why. Don't be afraid, it's not the coronavirus, all right? I've got it already, I don't know when to get another. All right. So the national outcome and enabling business environment, technology enabled society, all these outcomes are directly in line with Industry 4.0. 1 minute here, please. All right, thank you. So the graph illustrated here is the Jamaican growth rate from 1967 to 2019. Information was collected from the World Bank data. Now from this, we are seeing basically that the trend is showing that Jamaica is not growing to. If you look from the 1990 to 2019, you can look and see that the trend is actually down. For our Vision 2030 goal, the ambitious target is for Jamaica to grow at a rate of 5% GDP per annum. All right, so in light of the pandemic, of course, many industries have further been impacted. So we definitely need to look at other strategy, other approaches that will help to expedite and be able to balance out in the shortest possible time. And this is where Industry 4.0 technologies are quite relevant. So the list of different technologies, automation, additive, simulation, all of these are different big data analysis, are different technologies that are utilized in Industry 4.0. Now, there are many other names that Industry 4.0 go by. You could have the smart factory or cloud-based manufacturing, factory of the future, digital manufacturing. So those are other terminologies that are synonymous with the Industry 4.0 or Industrial Revolution 4.0 as well. So in essence, we see basically that there are different revolutions. We are from Industry 4.1.0 to Industry 4.0, and we are more focused on the cyber physical systems. The big question that we need to ask, where is Jamaica? Is Jamaica at Industry 4.1, Industry 2.0, or Industry 3.0? And this is where you can get a chance to participate. In the chat, wherever you think that in Jamaica is placed, please type it in the chat. if you think that Jamaica's industry is in actually 1.0. Say just I 1.0 or just I 2.0. I want you to type in the chat so I can see what your feedback are. And we see there are only 2 responses. I would expect some more. Thanks. So far, we are seeing Daniel Simpson is 2.0. We have Adam Bogley saying 2. So I noticed nobody have said somebody had said 2.9. I noticed nobody have said 1.0. So that is very good. Nobody think that we are at that level. And nobody have said 4.0. All right. So I see Dr. Dave Moore is saying it's somewhere between 3.1 and 4.4. All right. So we are going to see basically going further in the presentation where we are. I'm going to ask the president to prepare a prize for this.
That's okay.
All right.
No problem.
Thank you. All right. So in order to better answer that question, we want some kind of analysis, some data-driven approach. So we are going to be looking at the national 5-year synopsis of the national 5-year manufacturing growth strategy for Jamaica. And this was a joint effort by the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, the Ministry of Mining and Commerce, and the Agriculture and Fisheries, and the Jamaica Promotion Corporation. So there are 3 major industries basically would have come up with this. And this was actually published in July 2020. So it's quite recent. So it should capture the main things, I believe so, right? Now, when you actually examine the plan, there is actually a big concern that I personally have with this plan. And I must, even though I have a concern, I must comment that this is a good draft of where we are to be, but definitely there's room for improvement. Now, so it's a very good start to have a plan, and it's quite comprehensive, but I still believe that it needs to be audacious. It just cannot be business as usual for our manufacturing sector. Why is it? Why can't it just be business as usual? Now, analyzing the strategic initiatives required to boost manufacturing in Jamaica from the National Manufacturing 5-year strategy, there are 5. The first, in terms of priority, that is stated on page 2 of the document, enhance workforce productivity, improve cost competitiveness, and going down, we have incorporate innovative strategies. So these are actually some of the strategic. So if we go down further into the plan, we can see some areas, especially enhanced workforce productivity. One of the points is to develop an apprenticeship program, develop core training curriculum for manufacturing, expand the STEM program. So these are some approaches. I'm not sure that these approaches are sufficient to actually deal with the productivity challenge that we have been having for over 4 decades. So, but notwithstanding, these are important, all right? So now, looking in depth in terms of manufacturing and GDP in Jamaica, page 10, so now the answer is out. From this giant initiative of JMA and Jampro and Micah, we are seeing that from page 10, the document classified that Jamaica is actually in industry what? 2.0. So the industry 2.0, quoting directly, best characterizes the manufacturing sector in Jamaica at present. Now, I think, engineering kids, we are in problem. If we are at industry 2.0 and we need to be at industry 4.0, this is a very large gap. I mean, we haven't even touched industry 3.0 for many industries. this is the overall rating that is being given here. Notwithstanding, there are some companies that are already at 3.0, and there are some companies that are utilizing some aspect of Industry 4.0, but overall, the rating is 2.0. And so this, of course, is a concern. Now, what we see from the graph that is presented, since, let's say 1985, as represented by the graph, we are seeing that the contribution to GDP for manufacturing have been steadily declined. Notwithstanding, within the past 5 years, we have had the last 5 years from this based on this information here, we basically have, even from JUMPRO, some data showing that we are approximately 8.0, in terms of approximately 8.0 contribution to GDP of the goods producing sector. So yes, we are still positive, and that is commendable, but the problem is that we are trending down for so many years. It simply means that it can't be business as usual, and the strategies that we're using to grow the manufacturing sector, it definitely is not sufficient. All right, but we still have to commend them, but more needs to be done because we need to reverse this trend. This definitely not going to work. The country's manufacturing sector, quoting from the 5-year plan, employs mass production based on the division of labor and powered by electrical energy. All right. And the bigger question is, how do we get Jamaica to move from industry 2.0 to 4.0? One of the main things, we have to collaborate. We have to collaborate. So while this document was a good initiative, we are not seeing where any collaboration was made with the National University, the University of Technology. We are not seeing where any collaboration was made with CMU, Career and Maritime University. We are not seeing where any collaboration was made with UWI. We are not seeing where any collaboration was actually made in order to come up with a strategy. And I'm of the view that we need to get out of our compartmentalization, this approach. We need to integrate academia as part of the solution, and I'm sure that will enhance. We need to definitely try a different strategy, because this strategy definitely not giving us the result. Notwithstanding, there are still things to comment about the output, and we are seeing that the output for the last 5 years have been constant between 60 to 70 to 65 billion in terms of the output from the manufacturer, and the employment is approximately 80,000 in the last information that was presented by Statin in 2017. All right. And in terms of, it must be mentioned, it is notable as well is the fact that the sector contributed 55.9 billion to the government tax revenue based on the 2015 to 2016. So this is a major sector. It's a the second largest taxpayer in the country. So it therefore means that we definitely have to pay more attention. Another issue that we need to address is the exporting of manufacturing. We are seeing basically that while there was an increase between 2001 in terms of the export to around 2008, we are seeing the trending down since even before the pandemic. We are seeing that exporting is actually going down. Here we are seeing that we need to employ Industry 4.0 strategy in order to get export up. Our debt to GDP ratio has been high. There's a lot of things that is off target. Why? Because exporting is a major role, and we definitely need to pay more attention to it. So export of manufacturing items has primarily penetrate markets within the United States, the Canada, United Kingdom, CARICOM, and Netherlands. All right, so these are some of the other information coming from the 5-year plan. Now, what we need to do, we need to identify new markets. Why are we just narrowly focusing on a market? When we are at a strategic location where there are so many millions of people around us, why can't we, be able to penetrate some other markets. More needs to be done, and the whole issue, a collaborative approach, has to be taken in order. We are seeing in terms of further details in the export of manufacturing subsidies, we are seeing the different areas where there is increase. For the increase, we are seeing there's an increase in terms of rum between 2017 and 2018. That's an increase there. Overall, we are seeing increase in both traditional and non-traditional. The largest increase basically was in the chemicals area. So yes, things are happening, but a lot more needs to be done. The national, I must emphasize as well that the national export strategy has targeted a 25% annual growth in export. And the question is, how could this be achieved without the integration of Industry 4.0, without automation, without the empowerment of the persons in terms of their training, the human development index? How will this be achieved, the 25% per annum growth in export, if we are not producing? So this definitely needs to take on a collaborative approach. We are seeing from an article on the website, the JAMPRO, that highlight what I had said in terms of the largest contribution to the economic among goods producing sector. So that is good, between 8 to 9%. Well, let's look at some more international findings. The PwC survey look at what it is that exporters in big companies are saying. From the survey that was actually conducted over 26 countries that included over 2,000 participants from 9 major industrial sectors. This was conducted in 2016. That's the last one that I am aware of that has been published. There was a 33% rate their company as advanced today and expect to double their level of digitization in 5 years. So 33, so 1 in every 3 companies, and these are major countries, not included really development countries, more developed countries. And the industries basically that took part in the survey had a audacious plan to invest US $907 billion in Industry 4.0. The big question is, how much does Jamaica decide to invest? It can't be just sitting at the table and talking. There has to be some money set aside to invest, or we are able to attract investors. All right, so they are investing, and if these large companies are planning to invest so much money, how are we going to compete then if we don't invest, if we don't move from 2.0? It means that we are going to be in a bad position. Are we going to continue to depend on solely or mainly on tourism? Well, it will take some time to actually deal with that, especially with all the different variants and all of that. The expectation from majority of the respondents in the survey was that 55% of investment would have a payback of 2 years. Definitely, I would say between 2 to 5 years would be good, but not necessarily 2 years, because there are many factors we don't have any control over. So what's the blueprint in order for Jamaica in terms of as a strategy, as a priority? The first thing that we need is we need to have an Industry 4.0 strategy. That is, the research is showing that this is the approach that we can we just isolately develop a strategy? No. The Jamaica Institution of Engineers is, of course, is ready to lead this. The National University is ready to lead, but it's not the leadership is the issue. What we need is collaboration. Whoever leads it is not the big issue. What we need basically is how do we collaborate and for the best interest of the national good in order to make our economic grow and improve. So there needs to be a strategy. It's overdue. All right, so some of what can be done after a strategy has been created and concretized has been through consultation, discussion with several industries, including students in high school, universities. All of those persons need to be a part of it. There could be several pilot projects and so on, and look at capabilities, and all of these things can go off when we have what? A strategy. All right, so that's what is missing. So what are the goals of Industry 4.0, and why is it that it's very important? One of the major issues that the 5-year plan is actually, the strategy is highlighting that productivity is a major issue. So what is one of the solutions to address that? Industry 4.0 successfully integrated into the economy, especially into the manufacturing sector. And it can also be integrated in service sector. We can actually do a different presentation to look at Industry 4.0 and some of its application in the service sector. So one of the advantages of Industry 4.0, it will what? It enhance productivity through automation. We know basically that if a process is bad, then if you automate it, all you're going to have is more waste. So definitely business process re-engineering is going to be critical before you can even consider automation. There needs to decrease waste and improve yield, increase sustainability through real-time monitoring. So all of this is our goals. And the sad reality, as part of the national strategy, while productivity is named as one of the major things, I'm not even seeing where Jamaica Productivity Center was actually listed as part of the solution to address productivity. I'm not sure if that was probably an oversight. I'm not seeing where industrial engineering department with trained persons in methodologies to improve industry. I'm not to improve productivity in different sectors. I'm not seeing where those strategies have been included. Actually, what I have seen was HEART being included. I'm seeing where the Ministry of Education. So I'm saying we need to relook and improve and include more players. All right. I want to also say that we, in terms of at the University of Technology, we have a very accredited Bachelor's of Engineering in Industrial Engineering with specialization in manufacturing and engineering management. One of the challenges we have been having over the years is that we have a lot of students graduate from the program, but the manufacturing industry is not able to attract them because the service industry is offering significant benefit package. So that is something, if we want to improve, we have to look at in terms of the compensation package that we're going to give our engineers. All right. I think that was said already. Now, looking back at the United Nations, the developing countries face particular challenges, and some of these are actually listed. Low economic diversification. This has been a challenge. We want to grow economic by doing the same thing. We need to reach a stage where we start to look at other manufacturing, not just light manufacturing, and you know, and in terms of agro-processing, we need to be looking at other types of manufacturing. So we have to diversify our economy in order for it to grow. We definitely need to find ways to attract external investors and reduce the technological gaps. So we're at Industry 4.0, and we need to reach Industry 4.0, and if we don't reach it, we are going to be at a disadvantaged stage because the world is moving forward. All right. It's not unique though for Jamaica. Looking at other developmental countries, that there is a coexistence of industry for 1.0, 2.0. So this is not unique. But the issue is that if our overall ranking is in our average is 2.0, then that's where the problem is. And so there needs to be a coherent strategy, re-emphasizing, and there needs to be both regional and international collaboration. So what are some of our barriers? And these are barriers that we need to not only identify them, but how do we overcome them? A lack of skilled workforce. This is a lack of managerial competencies. So managerial, I would say, / leadership. Basically, lack of financial resources. But the majority here for the PwC is that there's lack of skilled workforce. So definitely there needs to be the curriculum, definitely, and some of our curriculum, even the exams that is sit and some of the syllabus, they are quite antiquated. All right, and a lot of them need to revisit and revamp at both the high school level and even at the tertiary level, and a lot more need to be done to ensure that in order for us to be competitive, we basically need to make sure that from the education it play a lead role. This is not just privacy. How am I doing in terms of minutes? Please let me know, please. All right.
Yeah, okay, Engineer
All right.
Junior.
All right. Thank you very much. Now,
30 minutes on, really.
oh, okay.
Another
Thank you.
15 minutes.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to wrap up in 5 minutes so we can have some discussions. So definitely some of the major barriers is high initial costs, cultural transformation. So there are resistance, even though from this study here, we are seeing that cultural resistance is actually quite low. We thought that it would have been high, but there's actually, it exists. There is energy quality, digital education, literacy, cyber risk management and cost. You know, these are some of the challenges. Economic, social, technical, political, and legal have also been an issue. Social, especially greater balance between work and family life. So a lot more research needs to be looked into these. From the McKinsey Industry 4.0 survey that was actually done in 2016, we are seeing that difficulty in coordinating actions has been a major challenge. The lack of courage, this is where leadership and backbone, lack of necessary talent, concerns about cybersecurity. So the coordination, the collaboration is an issue, and we have to find a way not only to identify, to fix them. There's also other issues in terms of concern about data ownership, especially when you're dealing with third-party providers with all of these softwares and so on. In 2019, we are seeing that there are some barriers from the management side, the lack of understanding of the strategic importance of industry. So that's an issue, HR, CEO, leadership. And there's also from the workforce, there's a lack of qualified workforce. Lack of employee readiness has been another issue. More focus on operation at the expense of developing the company. So these are some other issues that we need to deal with. In terms of readiness, I will have to skip this one due to time, but there's an assessment into where we are at this time in terms of whether we are favorable drivers for production or unfavorable large structure production. Do we have that, or do we have small? The reality is that we are actually in the nascent, this is where we actually, and it's very sad, limited current base at risk for the future. That's where we actually, this is my evaluation of where Jamaica is actually at. So much needs to be done in terms of getting us to where we are. We need to be resilient, we need to be agile. And I just want to say agile is embracing change rather than resisting it, and build an innovation ecosystem. That is quite important. And there are other areas, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and so on. All right, so what are some of the opportunities for Jamaica and other regions? We need to increase productivity. Of course, JPC need to play a larger role, and the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. UTech needs to play a larger role, CMU, UWE, NCU. We all need to play a larger role for the benefit of our country. We need to reach a stage where we need some national priorities for making it similar to what Indonesia had done. And these are some priorities. The presentation will be given to the JIE, and so if someone may need a copy, you can get that through JIE, all right? Or you can send me a personal email as well. But definitely we made available through JIE. All right, there are some analysis that I have looked at in terms of what are some of the factors in terms of the global competitive index. We look at ICT adoption, definitely infrastructure, business dynamism, innovation capability. These are very important. Our electricity, we need to have access for more persons, the quality of it, digital skills. So these are different areas, and we have a big issue. Research and development is less than 1%, it's 0.3% in 2018-2019 of our GDP has been allocated to research and development. How are we going to move forward when there is no money to do this kind of work? You know, I've done some analysis to look at countries that have embraced disruptive ideas. The first 20 countries, Israel to Indonesia, we are having what? We are seeing where there is a 0.3% correlation. This is a positive correlation with respect to countries' overall ranking and their individual ranking of companies within countries that embrace disruptive ideas. And we are seeing R square coefficient of determination assesses how strong the linear relationship is between the two variables. In terms of the goodness of fit, we are seeing this is just a mere 11%, so there are actually 89% that this doesn't really account for as well. So there's a low, weak, positive correlation, and there's indicating that was accidental. All right, so are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so I will wrap up due to time. We have to respect that. The last thing I want to emphasize, the curriculum must be upgraded. There's no doubt about that. We have to do that. There are technical competencies, there's methodical competencies that are necessary in terms of creativity, entrepreneurship, lean thinking, problem solving, conflict resolution. All these need to be in the curriculum, not just machine, you know, we need to have those. In conclusion, there needs to be a purposeful collaboration with government, private sector, industry, and academia. There needs to be increased investment in education and training, and there needs to be greater R&D investment and infrastructural development, and definitely there needs to be a greater need for a policy framework and a holistic strategy for Industry 4.0. Thank you very much. We have question and answer at this time.
Good. Thank you very much, Engineer Junior. And before I ask VP Melissa if there are any questions, I'm just wondering if there are other factors that, you know, keeping us at the 2. I know we have to establish exactly how we came by the 2. Somebody had asked that question, so you'll answer that shortly. But I think there's an inertia among our manufacturers. You know, they are comfortable, they are making a lot of money in the current situation and the current position that they are at. And I think that is what is preventing them from moving forward. What's your take on that?
Thank you for that inference. Definitely, the complacency is part of the issue, because regardless of the fact that the GDP contribution is being reduced, there seems to maintain a constant output of 60 to 65 billion in terms of output. So I think the complacency is because we are maintaining a steady output, but it's not being productive. If you are utilizing more resources and your output remain the same, it shows you that there's a serious issue there. So definitely, there need to, I think we limit ourselves, and the export issue is a big issue. We have a lot of our manufacturers are just limited their market to just the local people, or just people downtown, or people in the country, or just people in a particular area. We're not seeing where there's a large group of manufacturers are saying we need to have to export, we need to have a strategy to exceed the 25% growth per annum. I think more need to be done there.
All right. Good. Thanks, Engineer Bennett.
Thanks for your question
to
too.
Engineer Melissa to find out if there are any questions in the chat, or remember that you can ask your questions by raise of hand or using the chat platform. VP Melissa?
Yes, there are a few questions here. You can also use the Q&A section as well. The first question for you, well, what metrics were used to reach this 2.0 conclusion? I'm very interested in exploring this further.
Well, that's a very good question. I haven't seen any metric other than it's a descriptive approach that was actually taken. It wasn't a metric that was actually used. It was basically looking at the manufacturing and describe their production system. That's what I infer from the paper that was published. So that's what I infer. There is no metrics that was actually used. So definitely, notwithstanding though, I still believe that the assessment is have weight.
Okay. Another question for you. In your estimation, what shift in workplace productivity will it take place to improve Jamaica's manufacturing sector from 2.0 to 4.0?
Well, one of the things is, I'm not sure if, is Jonathan online?
Yes, he is here.
I don't know if Jonathan would want to help me answer this question from is one of the senior productivity person at the, or is the CEO. But I could briefly, I would say one of the things that we need to do, we need to measure. You cannot improve if you don't measure. There are many companies who don't have any metrics to measure any form of productivity, so you can't really assess the improvement. So that's the first thing. We need to measure where we are at, and then we can say where we need to be. So if we don't have measurement, a lot of persons are of the view that this measurement idea is quite impossible or complex, but there are persons who are equipped with that skill set. There are persons who are trained industrial engineers, persons from the Jamaica productivity centers. There are other persons who are trained to help the country to be able to develop appropriate metrics that are suitable for their company. So you have to measure, and I had written a few articles about measurement and about how you can actually improve in them. One of them, the engineering's angle. If you actually Google engineer angles, you will see some of what JIE, through collaboration with JIE, some of the recommendations that have been made in order to improve productivity.
Thank you for that, Engineer Bennett. Another question. This person says they have realized that the limestone sector is an underrated niche. It is a great potential, but majority of the companies here just crush material and export it, or just use it as for construction purposes. What do you think about the limestone sector in terms of a byproduct?
Well, let me first acknowledge my ignorance and limited knowledge of the sector. But in general, I must say, any form of mining or export, we need to move away from exporting our raw material, and we need to be audacious and start to put up the kind of infrastructure and the kind of investment to have value-added processes. I think that's the approach that Singapore have used. They don't even have a manufacturing facility or much really in terms of raw material, but they collect all the raw materials and add value and sell it at premium price. And this was one of the evaluation that I can extract from OD Metriciaga in our previous presentation that we had at UTEC, that they are selling things back at premium price. I believe that we basically need to add value and sell it at premium price to others. And that's where all the engineers could play a major role in terms of setting up the industry, from the civil engineering. We have the chemical, the processing. We have the construction engineers as well. We have the mechanical, the electrical. All of this would create more high-level employment, as well as jobs for persons who are in terms of low level, in terms of their education at this time. The low-skilled workers, we would classify them as. So if we don't do that, then the jobs that we create are not sustainable. We need to create sustainable jobs by investing in value-added industries. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, true. I think there's another one. I think it's a follow-up from the question before on the shift from 2.0 to 4.0. The person is asking, what other aspects of productivity do you think should be considered to create this shift?
Well, one of the reality is that productivity first is a mindset. You basically have to understand that it is a win-win for industries to be more productive. You basically have some persons or have some antiquated or archaic perspective that if productivity is increased, then they are no longer relevant. There's a lot of persons are of the view that once you increase productivity, then there is ultimately a decrease in your labor force. That is actually a lazy approach to increasing productivity by just simply reducing employers. That's not what I'm promoting. We are promoting increasing productivity by having job rotation, job redesign, and have persons do other things, upskill and other areas. So at the end of the day, when you would have increased your output, you still have persons to market, you still have persons to ensure that the voice of the customer is included in the whole process design and so on. So a lot needs to be done. And I think that we need to have the mindset that once productivity is increased, that the quality standard of living will be better for all. And once we understand that's the reality, why you have first world country and why you have persons have, be able to get certain salaries and certain benefits, including social benefit, is because there's an increase in their productivity.
Okay, good. I think we had a raised hand from Engineer Porter.
Yes,
yes, thank you. I wanted to go back to the question that President Ricketts had raised about the seeming inertia, that's the word he used among manufacturers. But even in subsequent questions and answers that Engineer Bennett addressed, one of the key things I realized was manufacturing, and there are programs within the government sector that tries to encourage manufacturers to improve. And in fact, there is a program between JAMPRO, the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, and the JNEA called Export Max, where there are a group of approximately 50 small and micro manufacturers who are being coached, for want of a better term, and guided and building their capacity to tackle export markets in a more structured way. But what I have found is that a lack of information or a lack of knowledge on the part of manufacturers is a serious concern. For example, even some of the questions asking, or it is suggested that we're only at Industry 2.0. I'm sure if you go to a lot of manufacturers and ask them, where are they? They can't tell you about, they don't know whether they are at Industry 1, 2, 3, 4, or wherever. So I think the knowledge base, the capacity of manufacturers need to be improved. And Engineer Bennett kind of alluded to some areas where, or sources where that can help. We have the Productivity Center, we have JAMPRO, we have the JBDC, and different organizations. Unfortunately, how organizations like these work is that we have to kind of rely on people coming to us for the support. We don't have the capacity to go out, and maybe it's a call of action for us to go out and spread this gospel some more among manufacturers and collaborate even more strongly with the JMEA and their membership and so on to get this out. So I think that is one of the key issues. There is inertia among a lot of manufacturers because they simply aren't aware,
yes,
right? They think when they hear Industry 4.0 and automation, it's just buying a machine and putting it in place. What's the impact on productivity? You spoke about lean as a technique that more manufacturers need to embrace. There's also the twinning philosophy of design thinking, which helps with a lot of these things and can help people to understand where their productivity levels are low and what they can do to boost their levels out and move us into 4.0. Yeah,
thank you so very much for your feedback, Engineer Porter, and thank you. Engineer Porter has been a very resourceful person and is one of those persons who are au fait with some of the issues as well. So thank you so very much. There were some questions, if I may, that were asked. I think I'm just seeing Engineer Townsend. Should I go to them? I see one by my colleague Hugh Cargill.
Just before we go to Hugh Cargill, there was a raised hand from Dave Muir. Dave Muir, you can go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Yes, thanks for your presentation, Mr. Bennett. I welcome the presentation, and it's a wide area which, we really have to dive into it. I have challenges as well, as Engineer Porter had mentioned, in terms of this baseline that, let's say, we have established, putting us at industry 2.0, you know, and I even reflect and I said to myself, how would some of these, you know, some of the large companies, for example, you know, the Jamalcos, the Grace, and all these companies and stuff, I mean, they're certainly not at industry 2.0, and we know that based on the systems that they have, the automation that they have in place, etc. Right? So my point is that first, the baseline that we have to establish, and then the leap that we have to make in order to embrace these industry 4.0 technologies, right, is not such a, I don't think personally that it's such a large leap, and this is one of the things that we need to understand right now, because we already have systems, as I mean, in place, mechanisms are in place, and if we break it down, even in terms of the use of, for example, like big data, some amount of automation and stuff that is already there. I mean, we are already using that. It's just to add maybe the communication layers, etc., in order to really get us to where it is that we need to be, and then we can use them. We're already using data to make decisions, etc. Right? I mean, I can talk further, as I say, about that. And I just wanted to say that we have seen this because even with COVID, as you know, everybody talking about digital transformation, the COVID push and what has happened in sectors, for example, the education sector, the financial sector, etc. I mean, we see wherein, as I said, these things, you know, it can be realized, it can happen, right? So I appreciate, let's say, your work, and I encourage the collaboration so that, you know, we can go further and see what are some of the barriers, as you actually mentioned, that is holding back the manufacturing sector to really embrace, let's say, a lot of these technologies, some more, right? And just finally, in closing, real quick, I just want to say that, you know, at the Caribbean Maritime University, we are also ready to be a part of those solutions that are there. Again, I'm reminding the public that we do have an Industry 4.2 lab that is there, and also a Center for Digital Innovation that is there as well, that pushes Industry 4.2 technologies, etc. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Muir, for your feedback. How do I proceed, Engineer?
I'm just going to give you the other questions. From Hugh Cargill, he's asking, how does Industry 4.0 affect product quality?
Thank you very much, colleague Cargill, for this question. This is quite a very important question in terms of one of the challenges that we are having in terms of low productivity is if you have low quality, you have a lot of wastes, then you're going to have low productivity. So it has to be designed in the process. You can't expect the product to be of high quality when the process and the systems are not capable of producing that desired quality. So therefore, Industry 4.0 directly play a role in terms of increasing that product quality, but it is not by itself. Basically, you have to design the system and ensure that the necessary business process analysis is actually done. The necessary statistics, the necessary charting, all of these things are done. So from the data analytics, we can get information. And I know Cargill is an expert in that area as well, in terms of the different quality approaches and design of experiments. So definitely it is in line with increasing your quality, which is what the customer needs anyway.
Thank you for
that. Thank you for that question.
Yes, and thank you for your response, Engineer Bennett. I think we have time just for 2 more questions. The others, Engineer Bennett, I'll allow you to type the responses to each person. But the second to last question is, has there been any serious dialogue with JIE and the Minister, whose portfolio encapsulates this industry? If yes, is there any serious push in the private and public sector to adopt this?
I think that question would be asked. President Ricketts, can you assist me in terms of that question? From where I sit,
the truth of the matter is known, not recently. I think really the push should be, well, the dialogue really should be between the government, I think, and the Manufacturers Association, you know, because you have engineers within these organizations, yes, but it's not something that JIE has actively taken on.
All right, thank you very much. One other thing I must say, Engineer Ricketts, is that every year and through different forums, JIE constantly provide a platform to have these dialogues. I'm not sure if it is our duty to engage, but to provide the avenue for engagement, and we invite through the public and otherwise for persons to come to the table, come to these sessions, so we can, you know, discuss these things some more. So definitely we are open for that. I'm sure President Ricketts are open to have
and you're correct. Sorry to cut in. And you're correct, because the space has been provided, you know, to foster and encourage this type of discussion between our policymakers and our active players in the industry. Yes, that's true.
All right, thank you, Engineer. I think we have one question remaining.
Right.
Is a raised hand.
Just another question here. Where is the Jamaica Manufacturing Association in this regard?
Are you asking me that question?
Yes, the person is asking you that question.
Let me ask, are there any members from the Jamaica Manufacturing that is in the group?
I'm not, and I'll not speak on their behalf, but I may have an idea. As I mentioned, and even the previous question in terms of what JIE is doing, and you mentioned that it should be the Industrial Association. JMA basically is an advocacy group, and they're through their president mainly and their secretary. I know they have engaged government from different times on different aspects. Like I mentioned, there is currently a program which they are a part of to prepare a small batch of small and micro manufacturers to access export markets. But I think it would be good. I am not sure how much they have like an Industry 4.0 or any of these kind of advanced strategies on their agenda in this kind of structured way. So I think it would be a good idea for the JIE to approach them now and kind of expose them some more to this strategy that they can use as ammunition whenever they engage the government. I know they engage various ministries at different times for various reasons. So this could be an opportunity for us to share some information with them and for them to now use that in their own advocacy.
Thank you very much, Engineer Porter. I'm of the view as well in response to your comment is that JMA have a duty as well as advocates to ensure that the necessary consultations are not limited to JAMPRO or just a few other selected government agencies, but that there is meaningful consultation on a broader scale to help manufacturers. I'm sure if JMA asks JIE, can you have a forum to address some of the manufacturer things, I'm sure Engineer President Ricketts or whoever would take over from President Ricketts would welcome that opportunity to provide any support. I'm sure. President Ricketts?
Absolutely. And we have been doing that at all times, you know. I mean, we have several forums and to facilitate things like that, you know, national issues and growth and productivity within the country. So of course, that's one of our roles to facilitate.
Yeah, thank you, Engineer President Ricketts. I think the last thing I want to say is that for us to go forward, there needs to be a wide consultation. There needs to be Industry 4.0 strategy. I am aware as well of Mrs. Simmons, who basically play an important role in terms of the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission, which I was called as a member, and I'd proposed some strategies to the government. Of course, we cannot discuss those in this forum, but the reality is that their efforts have been made, but we need to have synergy and need to have more public consultation and dialogue, as well as research in order to ensure that this, our country, be the place to live, to grow, and raise family. Thank you very much for having me. It was my honor on behalf of the University of Technology.
Thank you, Engineer Bennett. It's a pity we can't have any more questions, but if you could just respond to the other few questions, you can type in the chat yourself and respond to those persons while we get on.
I will try, though I have another commitment at this time, but if the questions can be sent to me, then I would be able to do that, collate them and give a response.
Okay, let me just give you one last one then just before, since you have to go.
My email address is there, so we can always take it from there.
Okay, let's give you one last one. The person is asking, have you identified any industry player who has been taking the correct approach in moving our country from industry 2.0 to 4.0?
Well, my search was not really to identify a player. My search was to really, it's a good question, but my search was to say, how can we, all of us, be on board to move forward, and not necessarily to say, well, this person or this entity is having the right approach. The reality is that the average, what we are having representing the national strategy is that we are at 2.0, regardless of what Grace is doing and other companies and flour mills and other companies. The reality is that on average, this is what the persons are saying. It therefore means that we have to have a collaborative approach, and the University of Technology, where I'm a lecturer, definitely embrace the opportunity to make our contribution. I'm sure the head of school is Engineer O'Neill Joseph, the Vice Dean, Dr. Isaac, the Dean, we are all here. I see Dr. Murray says CMU is on board. JIE is always on board. That's why we have this forum. So the reality is, how can we collaborate and get this thing together? That's what this is really my response. I don't have an entity that definitely I can say that they have the strategy. But what I know from my own research and my engagement with conference in Italy and Indonesia as a panelist in 4.0, that a collaborative approach with investment and research and development is the approach to go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Engineer Junior Bennett. And certainly, yes, you're in reach, and any further question can be channeled through the JIE or directly to Engineer Bennett. Thank you very much for the informative presentation.
You're welcome.
Before we get to our final presentation for today, using technological innovation to drive down business costs, and that presentation will be done by Dr. Kwame Motley. I want to say thanks to our sponsors, who actually, because of their generosity and overwhelming support, we were able to make this conference free of charge. So we have to acknowledge our sponsors at this time. And I'm just going to ask you to bear with us for a few minutes while we advertise and make known some of our sponsors for this conference.
Loxon, a name that's trusted for premium performance. Now the Loxon family has a new member. That's Loxon self-cleaning acrylic coating, engineered for exterior above-grade masonry substrates that require a clean, attractive look. This revolutionary coating provides high-performance protection with enhanced water shedding and dirt pickup resistant properties. It's no secret that over time, ordinary coatings become soiled or stained, either requiring extensive cleaning or costly repaints. But Loxon self-cleaning acrylic coating is formulated to be self-cleaning by shedding dirt upon rain or water contact, extending the life cycle of the coating and saving commercial property owners and managers thousands of dollars in maintenance costs.
Well, there's a lot of things I like about the Loxon product in terms of it's easy to apply. I put it on a textured wall here and it really went on evenly, consistently. And a big part of my job is pressure washing, and any product that can lower the amount of maintenance on a facility like this certainly saves time and money to the owner.
Like the other coatings in the Loxon line, Loxon self-cleaning acrylic coating has excellent weathering properties and UV resistance, and it's mildew resistant too, which means agents in the coating inhibit the growth of mildew on the surface of the coating. The breathable paint film minimizes the potential for blistering and has the flexibility to adapt to weather fluctuations. Loxon self-cleaning acrylic coating is suitable for application over properly prepared bare or previously coated concrete, masonry, or cement board surfaces. Color options are extensive in a flat sheen, and it has fewer than 50 grams per liter VOCs. The power of Loxon's proven performance, combined with the benefit of its self-cleaning formula, provides a great solution to offer your commercial property customers.
The electric motors are used in almost all industries. To avoid loss of production and profit, we need to have the right equipment for maintenance programs. Measurements of inductance, impedance, phase angles, or capacitance are not enough and do not represent the actual state of the art, according with IEEE and NIST organizations. The best practices for maintenance recommend the state voltage test and the surge test. Both tests are done applying high voltages. The tester will stop the test at the moment it identifies weak insulation. The state voltage test can identify weak insulation to the ground, while the surge test weak insulation between turn to turn in the windings. At Megger Baker Instruments, we offer the best motor analyzer for motor maintenance programs according with actual international standards.
Since its construction, Port St. Charles continues to be a beacon for coastal projects in the Caribbean. Encompassing land development, shoreline preservation, ecosystem conservation, and disaster risk reduction, it includes many of the project aspects that Smith Warner has continued to work on over the years. We are proud to have been a part of the team that brought this marina development to life. Building on those same beginnings, we prioritize quality and the use of innovative approaches to solving coastal and marine problems throughout the Caribbean, while incorporating suitable responses to climate change issues. Our people are our strength, and we care because this is our home.
Engr is the world's leader in electrical test solutions. We are dedicated to creating safe, reliable, easy-to-use portable test equipment and to providing expert support locally.
Our customers use our products to make informed decisions about their most important assets. They can trust our products to give accurate results and are tough enough to work in the most demanding environments around the world.
Megr has been around for over a century, pioneering the world's first insulation tester back in 1903. Since then, we have developed worldwide with manufacturing facilities in Sweden, Germany, UK and the USA.
Megr is concentrated on simplifying the task of protection relaying with our reliable and robust test sets. Our flexible solutions speed up the testing process and thus reduce cost and downtime.
Megr offers the broadest range of transformer testing equipment in the industry. This allows a complete transparency of the health of the transformer, helping engineers to manage the life cycle of their most valuable assets.
Megr, and formerly SEPA KMT, has developed a high level of expertise in cable diagnostics and fault location. Electrical utilities look to us to help manage the conditions of their cables using an array of technologies to identify even the hardest faults to find.
Insulation testing of low voltage systems is where our company was founded. We pride ourselves in developing safe, reliable test solutions, but at a low lifetime cost and high performance.
The growing diversity of energy sources has increased the need for versatile testing systems. Megr offers a complete range of general electrical test equipment, including 5, 10, and 15 kV insulation testers, low resistance ohm meters, battery testers, power quality equipment, and many more. What all these products do is focus on productivity, safety, and a dependable performance wherever you need.
Engr engineers share their expertise enthusiastically through regular training programs to customers and distributors. We also have local support teams available to help our customers with their day-to-day inquiries.
The goal is to provide the highest level of customer service, irrespective of location, language or channel. Through working closely with electrical utilities, standards bodies and technical institutions, we strive to be at the forefront of the electrical test industry. We value our relationship with our distributor network. In partnership with them, we provide the highest levels of technical service and easy access to applications engineers. To ensure that we deliver real benefit to our customers, we continually invest into our people and into new technology.
We are extremely proud of our employees who are not only incredibly talented, but passionate about the needs of our customers.
The daily lives of our customers are demanding, complex, and often highly dangerous. We help make their lives safer, and that bit easier by continuing to offer our support, our expertise, and our world-leading products.